Welcome to the Empowered with Erika podcast. My name is Erika Vishkalis, and I'm an empowerment coach, mindset mentor, personal development enthusiast, and holistic health advocate. I have spent the last several years healing my mind, body, and soul, and have learned so much along the way. From healing trauma to navigating a sober lifestyle and learning how to step into my personal power, it has been transformational. If you are looking to heal, to be inspired, to uplevel your life, and become the most empowered version of yourself, you've come to the right place. I created this podcast to help you know you are worthy of rewriting your story and to help you navigate your own empowerment journey. You are worthy of living your most authentic, aligned, and inspired life, and I can help you get there. Whether you are diving deep into personal development or just need a weekly pick-me-up, I've got you covered. Thank you so much for pressing play today. I cannot wait to transform together. Let's get empowered. Hello. Welcome to the latest episode of Empowered with Erika. Erika here, and I cannot wait to dive into our episode today. So today I really wanted to talk about the importance of setting a standard for your life. And this may seem like a little bit of a weird topic, but I think that standards in all areas of your life really are a key to up-level your life and to bring it to the level that you want, right? So up-leveling, or if there's areas of your life that you aren't satisfied with, I think reevaluating what standards you have for each area is super duper important. So what is a standard? Well, quick Google definition, quick Google search showed me that a standard is defined as a level of quality or attainment, also known as an idea or thing used as a measure, norm, or model in comparative evaluations. So, standards can, like I said earlier, they can be a part of so many different areas of your life. We're talking finances, friendships, relationships, work, right? You can have a standard for each of these areas in your life. And why is it important? Well, to be quite blunt with you guys, because it helps you know whether you are reaching your own standard and if those in your life are reaching your standard. And I think some people may see this as being a little selfish, or may have that barrier of, oh, if I set the standard, like, am I being too high maintenance? Am I this? Am I that? Like, I have very high standards for people in my life. And let me tell you, that has made it so that there's a lot of people that are no longer a part of my life because they did not reach the standard that I wish to live my life at. And that doesn't mean you treat people with disrespect or not with kindness, but it's realizing I want my level of life, or I want my lifestyle to look like X thing. And so to do that, I need to have the standard for myself. And when you have that standard for yourself, it kind of tends to put it on others a little bit, just because you don't want to surround yourself with people that are not having similar standards that you have for themselves, right? Because it's so important, like who you surround yourself with really does impact your life. So that doesn't mean that your friends or your partner's life needs to look exactly like yours, but having similar values is really important. So let's look at the different areas that we can set standards in our life for. So the first one I wanted to talk about was finances. So people are like, what do you mean, like a standard for finances? So if I want to have an abundantly wealthy life, or an abundant financial life where all my needs are met and my accounts are full, I have a fully funded emergency fund, I've been working on my retirement, all these different areas, maybe I have some stocks or whatever. I can go get my nails done and not stress about it because my finances are healthy. That means I'm going to have a standard in my financial life. So what can you do to help set those standards? So first of all, you need to financially educate yourself. I think a lot of people struggle with finances because they don't educate themselves and they don't realize what's possible. And honestly, I used to do this, guys, where I'd kind of just stick my head in the sand because finances really intimidated me. And I was like, all right, I'll just pay my credit card bill. Here you go. Here's the payment. Or, oh, I think I can afford this, so we're just going to go for it. We're just going to send it. And it really put me in a tough financial bind, guys, not being super intentional and not having a standard for my financial life. So again, like I said, educating yourself. One of the best books I've read is Unshakeable by Tony Robbins. Absolutely love that book when it comes to finances. Another book I've read and podcast I've listened to is Dave Ramsey. He's very controversial. I know a lot of people don't love him. I don't follow his stuff 100%, But one of the biggest things I took from him, and this I think helps you set a standard for your financial life, is budgeting. It sounds so simple, guys, but seriously, making a little spreadsheet looking at how much am I bringing in, what are my costs, am I living below my means? Because living below your means is incredibly important to have a financially healthy life. Because if you are going above what you make every single month, that is going to put you into debt. That's going to make you stress. It's going to make you struggle. So, one of the keys to setting a good financial standard is figuring out, okay, how do I want to allocate my money? What am I willing to spend money on? Where do I want it to go? Which accounts do I want to make sure I fund? Do I want to make sure I have a healthy emergency fund? So 3 to 6 months saving is what a lot of people say of your expenses. And then also looking at, okay, how much am I spending on food? How much am I spending on gas? What is this? What is that? And one of the things, guys, I think a lot of people don't look at with budget and financing, it's not meant to limit you. If anything, it helps you have more freedom with your money because you know where it's going, right? It's really just this concept of being intentional. And this intentionality is a theme that you're going to see in my podcast, guys, and you're going to see in this podcast specifically, because I think being intentional goes hand in hand with having a standard, right? Because if you aren't being intentional, then you probably don't give a shit about having standards in your life, right? And the first thing with standards too is you have to set it for yourself. So setting the standard of, I've created this budget, I'm going to stick to it. And I'm going to have maybe a little slush fund to make sure if something comes up, because life happens, guys. I mean, that's why we have emergency funds. That's why we try to educate ourselves financially. But having that healthy standard to help you reach your financial goals is so important. And so what does that look like in your everyday life? So setting a budget, maybe realizing, you know what? I can't afford to go out every weekend and party. Or I don't even like to use the word I can't afford, but it does not serve my lifestyle and my goals, and it does not reach my standard to go spend $100 at the bar every weekend. People do it, guys. People do it. I don't, but people do it, And I'm not judging you if you do. If that's where you want your money to go, power to you, right? I choose to get my nails done every couple weeks. That's my little treat yourself that I like to do. Not everyone's thing, but it's what I like to do. I've put it in my budget and I've set that standard to, okay, I can afford to do that, or it is within my means as long as I'm making sure I'm doing this, this, and this, right? So setting that standard for yourself and really making sure that you live up to that standard. And that might have to change like who you spend time with, guys. Like choosing to not go to the bar every weekend. I'm just going to use this as an example. Choosing to not go to the bar every weekend really does change who I spend time with. Because people who are big drinkers, honestly, it's just not going to align with my life. And that's not a diss on anyone, but it just doesn't fit into my standard of living and what I choose to do with my time and how I spend my time. So this actually ties very well into friendships. So if you want solid friendships, you first need to set the standard of what you kind of expect in a friendship. But then here's the thing, instead of just putting that on others, you need to reach that standard for your friends. So the key is to first be a good friend, guys. If you want to have healthy, beautiful, loving friendships, you need to make sure you are an active participant in that, right? Just like with relationships, really any relationship, whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship, whatever, you need to make sure that you are hitting the standard that you are setting for yourself. So you really want to make sure that those in your life are adding value. Just like you want to add value to their lives, are they uplifting you or are they bringing you down? Because let me tell you, if people are bringing you down, take those scissors, cut, cut, cut. There is literally no reason for negative energy in your life. So hitting those standards and creating that standard. So for me, personally, when I, look at friendships, when I'm going through a hard time, are they just focusing on themselves or are they someone that I can talk to? And that doesn't mean trauma dumping. That doesn't mean putting all your shit on other people. I do think it's really important to be like, guys, do you have the emotional energy to talk today? Oh, my phone is going off. Do you have the emotional energy to talk today? If not, totally fine. And making sure before you speak with someone about maybe heavy topics, asking if they have the emotional availability to do so, because not everyone's going to. That's okay. Honestly, it can be exhausting sometimes, and I've been that person where I've dumped too much stuff on other people, and it made me a worse friend. And honestly, I wish that friend had called me out on it. They didn't. Instead, our friendship kind of died, which was really unfortunate, but it is what it is. And that's the thing, guys, is I wasn't being as good of a friend. I was so wrapped up in my own world that I was not being the friend they needed either, and I was just expecting it of them, which is not fair, right? So you need to set that standard and make sure you're setting your own standard, that you are reaching your own standard, and then be willing to let go of those who don't meet your standard. So here's a great example. When I moved to Phoenix, I moved in the middle of the pandemic, and I knew no one. I knew no one. So I was looking for friends, right? And what did I do? You can judge me, y'all. I met most of my friends on Bumble BFF. Yeah, if you move to a new city, Bumble BFF, Meetup, all those types of things are great ways to meet other people. And so I really had to filter through, like, who of these women that I'm meeting, because I use it to meet women, like meet women friends, female friends, who kind of lives like a similar lifestyle to me, who wants to do similar activities to me, who kind of has a similar values and mindset, and do they hit like my standard? Like, I'll be honest, guys, there was a lot of people who are out partying, and like I said earlier, that just doesn't fit my values. And that, I mean, partially it's because I've been sober for 2 years, right? So it's pretty boring to be the sober person at a bar. But also, I just was like, it's not how I want to spend my money or my time or my weekends. So that's probably not someone that's going to be a great fit. Or, other people that I loved getting to know them, and it kind of just like slowly faded out. I don't want to say that either person ghosted each other, but there's one specific person I'm thinking of where, I would reach out, they'd never reach out back. Or they'd only reach out when they were struggling. And that was the only time they really wanted me as a friend in their life, was when they were struggling, right? But then when I just wanted to hang out, do something, I wouldn't hear back. And I understand people are busy. I know everyone has their own, mental health concerns, but also be courteous of other people. If someone's reaching out to you and say you don't have that mental energy to go, I think it's really, especially if you really value their friendship, I think it's important to say, hey, you know what? I would love to another time. I'm really not in the right place right now, but I so appreciate your friendship and support. But can I take a rain check? I think if you really value that friendship, having that open dialogue helps to prevent people's feelings from getting hurt, right? So I realized this specific individual wasn't putting in the work to be a friend that I was doing. I was like, I am here for you. I want to spend time with you. And you are consistently blowing me off and slash or just not responding at all, except for when you need me. And to be honest, I let it die. I was like, you know what? I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop reaching out. And what's that saying, stop, like, see what you're watering and see what dies, So stop watering something and see if they reach out too. So that's what I did, and that was setting a standard. And honestly, this ties right into romantic relationships, right? I think with romantic relationships, something I did, and maybe it's a little corny, but I wrote down the values that I cared about and what I wanted in a relationship. And that wasn't, someone who's 6 foot with dark hair and this and that and this. Though I do have that in my current relationship. That wasn't necessarily what I was looking for, right? I was more concerned on what type of lifestyle do they live? What is important to them? What is a value of theirs? What are they hoping to achieve? Like what do they do for fun? And making sure that we both had similar standards. And my partner and I, Kyle, we definitely do have similar values and similar standards. And we joke all the time that we want the same things in life, but we just have different avenues of getting there, right? Like, I might actually bring him on the podcast sometime, but he's not going to be starting a podcast anytime soon. That is not something that aligns with his goals. And it might someday, but for now, that's just not something he's interested in, right? He has other dreams and other goals that are going to help him achieve, his big mission. And so writing down, like, but caveat, though we have different avenues on how we want to achieve our goals, we want very similar things, and that's really, really important. And we value similar things. We, as a couple, we don't spend a lot of time watching Netflix, and that's not dissing people who do. We just don't. It's not how we value spending our time. We would rather, we do Krav Maga together, and we walk our dogs together, and we go on adventures in the desert together. That's just how we tend to spend our time. Or we do personal development, and we try to just help each other become better people together. And that's how we'd like to spend our time. That's what's important to us. And so I think it's important, though, reiterating, you need to be able to meet your own standard. You cannot put a standard onto other people that you cannot meet yourself. That is unfair and unreasonable, right? So, something I really encourage you to do with friendships, relationships, finances is write down what you want. And then you need to embody those things. So, if you want to be a really good friend, or if you want really good friends, you got to be a really good friend. If you want a really healthy, solid relationship, you need to make sure that you are healthy and that you are being a really healthy and solid partner to whomever you're in a relationship with, right? Like, how are you adding value to their life? And then they will probably, if it's a good situation, they will probably add value back to your life, right? That give and take, you really do attract that higher standard when you embody that higher standard. And honestly, be 100% yourself. I'm going to be honest, guys, nobody has time for fake bullshit in any of these areas. If someone doesn't like you for you, don't walk, run. Run. Whether it's a friendship, a relationship, you're not going to change people. And you don't want someone that wants you to change, right? That just makes no sense. That's not fun. That's not how life is supposed to work. So that's how I tend to handle it in, relationships and then work. So remember, when it comes to work, it is okay to have a standard. What do you want? I am someone that interviews people. I've done a lot of interviews in my time. I'm part of the hiring process typically for the interns at my job. And one of the questions I ask them, I'm like, how will this internship help you? How will we help you? Because when it comes to work, yes, of course, your employers need to be happy with your performance. But also it's important, are you happy with your career? Are you happy with your employers? Do you feel like you get that give and take? You don't want to just show up for a paycheck. That's not going to be very fulfilling. So remember that you need to be happy with your career just as much as your employers need to be satisfied with the work that you're doing. And I really encourage you in a work setting to write down, again, like I really love to write things down, and write down what is it that you want. What values are important to you with a company? What values are important to you for your career, for your job? And remember to stand up for yourself and speak up for yourself. It is really freaking powerful to stand up for yourself. I've had to do that recently at work, and honestly, it was really intimidating, but it was really important to make my voice heard. And I was like, you know what? If they aren't going to respect me, I'm going to reevaluate my time here, because why would I want to work somewhere? Why would I want to give my time and energy to a place that didn't respect me as a person, right? And thankfully, my work does respect me as a person. And those people that I had to, I'm not going to say, I wouldn't say stand up to, but I had to speak out for myself and be an advocate for myself and other employees. They listened and they did care and they did do what they could do to help remedy the situation, right? I think it's really important to make sure that it's a give and take, right? You spend so much time at work having that standard. And you know what? If you have a job that you're at right now and it's not meeting your standards, something that was really important to me when I was looking at career options were, one, like, was the job somewhere I wanted to live? Right? I had never moved to Phoenix. I was really scared. I'd never been to Phoenix before. I hadn't really been to Arizona. I drove through it like once, but I don't count that because I didn't spend any time there other than getting gas, right? So when I was looking at it, I was like, well, what's the lifestyle like in Phoenix? And I was like, oh, it's pretty outdoorsy. Yeah, it gets really hot in the summer, but you can do things pretty year round. They have the mountains kind of nearby. There's a river. I love to paddle board. And I looked at all the different activities and I was like, oh, it's a city, so there's going to be a lot of sports and concerts and stuff. And yeah, COVID has affected that. But overall, I was like, oh, it's not too big of a city, but big enough to have the amenities that I want. Cool, check. And then I was like, all right, what's the staff look like? Are these people I don't want to work with? And that can be a little difficult to evaluate before you get there, but I think you can get a vibe. And I trusted my gut and I was like, oh, I really like these people. And I will say I love my coworkers. We have a great staff. I think it's a really fun environment and people do genuinely care about each other, which is just a beautiful thing, right? And so those are just a couple things to look at. Are you getting compensated what you want? And if you're not, how can you change that? Like, how can we help embody this work career life that we want? So all of this to say that at the end of the day, guys, everything happens for a reason. People who are going to put the energy into that friendship, that relationship, will do so. And people that aren't meant to put in the energy, they're not going to. They won't step up. They won't be who you need to be. And you need to have that standard for yourself and for your life to remove yourself from those situations. And it can be really hard. It can be really friggin' hard. I'm actually reevaluating a relationship in my life, not my romantic relationship, but a different relationship I have with someone in my life. And I'm like, what is their role going to be in my life now? A situation happened where they did not hit the standard that I want for someone to be in my life. And they knew that. And they really, really hurt that trust there. So I'm currently, really evaluating what role am I going to allow them to have in my life? How can I let this person in my life and still be maintaining that standard I have for myself? And like I said, guys, it's so important who you surround yourself with. So having that set standard is just, it's key. It's key for yourself. It really brings you a lot of peace and joy. And since having higher standards for myself, and really it starts with you. I know I keep saying like, oh, those around you have to hit your standard, but it's more about you guys. It's more about you. And honestly, when you embody the standard that you want in your life, those who also embody that standard will be attracted to you. So I just really encourage you to really take a moment, take a breath, think about, what is it that I want? What do I want in my life? What do I want from my career? What do I want my finances to look like? What do I want my friendships to look like? What do I want my relationship to look like? What do I want my family relationships to look like? Like, what do I want all these areas to look like? Write it down and then figure out what a standard is from that. Are you willing to be a friend with someone that's going to only talk to you twice a year? And I know we joke about that. Like, I have my best friend, she lives across the country, and our relationship is we love each other dearly and we do try to talk pretty frequently, but there's been like months when we've been through difficult seasons where we just know that we're not talking, purposely not talking. We just are really freaking busy right now. And we love each other where we're at. So that's okay too. So I'm not saying, oh, the person ignored you for 2 days, cut them out. No. But have the standards for yourself and remember, like, is this adding value to my life or is this bringing me down? Is this bringing me pain or hardships? And really evaluate those things, because if you want a empowered life, if you want to live your best life, you really need to look at all these different areas and figure out, first, are you putting yourself in situations that are going to allow you to hit those standards? So that's those around you, your work, your relationships. Is this all at a place where I want it to be? And also, am I hitting my own standards? So with that, guys, I'm going to wrap up today. I just really encourage you to dream big. Know that everything that is in your soul is possible, guys. So when you're writing down these goals for these different areas of your life, your finances, your friendships, your relationships, your work, dream big. Because if you write that down and you can work on embodying it, it will come to fruition. I really, truly believe that. Since setting the standard, I have the best friends. I am in a great relationship. I'm so happy. We're so happy. I really do like my work in a lot of areas. And, my finances are going in the direction I want them to go, right? So I just really encourage you guys to just think deep, think clearly. What do you want? Dig deep and really just allow yourself to dream and allow yourself to set those high standards. And don't be scared to set those high standards, guys, because whoever is meant to be in your life will reach them, right? It will all work out how it's supposed to. I genuinely believe that. So thank you for taking the time to listen today, and I cannot wait to see you next time. Bye! Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you and for taking the time to be a part of our community. Don't forget to check the show notes for resources that I shared in today's episode, and of course to connect with me on social. You can find me on Instagram at erika.vishkalis. You can also find me on Facebook at Erika Vishkalis. I always love hearing from you, so leave a comment, leave a review, shoot me a DM, let me know what you loved and what you want to hear more about. And don't forget to tag me if you share the episode with your friends or with your family or on your story. If you want to hear more empowering content, then make sure to hit subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when our next episode drops. I cannot wait to share more with you. I will see you next week, and don't forget to stay empowered.